Hello again from Metro Manila of the Philippines, Southeastern Asia. Almost 50 years ago, that is on Boxing Day, December the 26th, 1970, at the General Hospital of Munich, then West Germany, now reunified Germany, died at the early age of 22, a South African-born, very talented British sprinter and middle distance runner, Miss Lillian Board. Just months earlier, in the summer of 1970, she had been diagnosed with bowel cancer. She had courageously fought against it, even spending several weeks in November and December 1970 at the controversial clinic of an alternative medical doctor, Mr. Joseph Issels. However, despite those treatments, her disease had worsened, and eventually she had had to transfer to that hospital in Munich. Very tragically, the city where she, according to many sports pundits, was favored to win the 800 meters Olympic gold. But this was not to be. During her brief career, she excelled in both 400 meters and towards the end of it in 800 meters. Her crowning achievements were the silver medal in the 400-meter dash. She lost by just 1/10 of a second to France's Colette Besson at the 1968 Mexico City Summer Olympics, and then the easy victory by over a second over the silver medalist at the 1969 European Athletics Championships in Athens, Greece, at 800 meters. And then her dramatic rise, she began the final leg at least over 5 meters, if not even 10 meters behind Besson. But on the home straight, she was able to catch Besson and then lean across the finish line and break the tape just some centimeters ahead of her French rival to give Britain, or anchor Britain, to its gold medal in women's 4x400 meter relay. Her life and career more in detail now. I mean, she was also known as the Golden Girl of British because she was such a happy and lively person, both on and off the racetracks. So she was born in Durban, South Africa on December the 13th, 1948, and died, as I said, on December the 26th, 1970, aged 22 in Munich, now reunified Germany, then West Germany. She was 1 meter 68 centimeters, or 5 feet 6 inches tall. Her parents, George and Francis Board, had emigrated from Manchester, England, United Kingdom, to South Africa in April 1947, along with their son George. Shortly after the birth of Lillian and her fraternal twin sister Irene, the family moved back to Manchester already in February 1950. In 1956, the family moved to Ealing, West London. Already in 1960, or 1961, aged 12, Lillian was discovered by her physical education teacher, Sue Gibson, as having a special talent for running. And Miss Gibson took her to join the London Olympiades, the leading all-female athletics club. There she competed in relays and 100 and 150-yard sprints. In 1963, she won the junior long jump title at the All England Schools Championships, now known as the English Schools Championships, with a leap of 5.26 meters, and then finished second with a leap of 5.328 meters in the long jump at the Women's Amateur Athletic Association's National Junior Championships. Trained by her father, George, and inspired by an illustrious clubmate, international long jump and pentathlete Mary Brand. She concentrated on the sprints from the 1964 season onward, with an emphasis on strength work and with a view to eventually moving up from the short sprints to the 440 and 880 yards. In 1965, Board was a member of the London Olympiades squad that won the 4x100 meter relay title. In 1966, she was able to qualify for the English team in the Commonwealth Games held in Kingston, Jamaica. She finished fifth in the 400 meter dash in a time of 54.7 seconds. Given the fact that she was only 17 years at the time, that was considered a fine performance. Unfortunately, she was not chosen for the British team at the European Athletics Championships in Budapest, Hungary, which were held from August the 30th to September the 4th. In 1967, she won the 400 meter race in a Commonwealth versus the United States match in Los Angeles, California, in a time of 52.8 seconds, which at the time was the second fastest time ever recorded by a European woman. Since the race was broadcast live on British television, it made her into a household. In the 1967 European Athletics Cup final in Kiev, then the Soviet Union, now the Ukraine, in September, she won the 400 meter dash in a time of 53.7 seconds, which was the only victory for Britain's women in that cup. She began the 1968 season by winning the 440 yard, that's roughly 402 meter race at an inter-club meeting in Brighton with a time of 54.8 seconds. She then leaped to the top of the world rankings after winning a 400 meter race in a time of 53.5 seconds at an international meeting in Moscow, then the Soviet Union, now Russia. In July 1968, at the Women's Amateur Athletics Association Championships, she contested the 800 meters, winning the title, finishing second to the reigning European 800 meter champion, a time of 2 minutes, 0.5 seconds, the new world record, while Board set her own personal record, 2 minutes and 2.0 seconds. She won the 200 meter dash in a match against West Germany in August in a time of 23.5 seconds, her personal best. Her UK record of 52.12 seconds was just 9/100ths of a second slower than Colette Besson's winning time at the 1968 Summer Olympics 400 meter dash final in Mexico City. In 1969, she set her personal best for 100 meters, 11.9 seconds, and she ran her leg in 52.9 seconds. The British team set a new world record in the 4x400 meters relay, 3 minutes 37 points. She suffered from back pain intermittently, so she decided to run the 800 meter race instead at the 1969 European Athletics Championships in Athens. And she won in a time of 2 minutes, 1.4 seconds, a new championship record. She was the first British woman to win the European title at 800 meters, the second one being Lindsay Sharp in 2012. On September the 20th, 1969, she ran that memorable final leg in the 4x400 meter relay, setting a new world record of 3 minutes, 30.8 seconds, although France was credited with the same time. Of course, there was at least 100th of a second separating the two teams. She ran 2-mile races early in the 1970 season, partly to build up stamina for the 800 meters and partly with the aim of becoming the first athlete to represent Britain at all distances, because the 1500 meters was then the longest distance in the major international championships, such as the European Athletics Championships, the Summer Olympics, and the Commonwealth Games that women could officially run. Unofficially, women, of course, were running longer distances already. Maybe already by that time, a few at least secretly had run the marathon. Her personal best during the healthy part of what would tragically prove to be her last and truncated season was 4 minutes 44.6 seconds. She finished second to a former mile world record holder, Ms. Paolo, Italy. Soon after the mile race in Rome, she started to suffer from stomach upsets. These were misdiagnosed as a virus, and she was prescribed pills. Despite her health problems, she was able to contribute a 2-minute 7.0 second leg to a 4x800 meter world record on June the 13th, 1917, in Edinburgh, where the Commonwealth Games were due to be held later that summer, in July more specifically. Despite being doubled up in pain before the race, she was able to win her 800 meter heat at the Women's Amateur Athletics Association Championships at Crystal Palace, London, in a time of 2 minutes 6.8 seconds. Pale and underweight, she then finished a tired third in a time of 2 minutes 5.1 seconds in the 800 meter final on June the 20th, 1970. This tragically was her last race, and she would pass away 6 months later. X-rays revealed that her bladder was inflamed and her condition was initially diagnosed as Crohn's disease, forcing her to halt training and ruling her out of the July's Commonwealth Games in Edinburgh. However, further X-rays, tests, and 2 biopsies were taken, and she was diagnosed with terminal colorectal cancer or bowel cancer in September 1970. On October the 8th, 1970, an exploratory operation was performed on her at St. Mark's Hospital in London, tragically revealing that the cancer had already spread to her stomach, and she fight back. And on November 1970, she traveled to the village of Rottach-Egern in the Bavarian Alps near Munich, West Germany, to be treated by the controversial alternative physician Dr. Josef Issels at his Ringberg Cancer Clinic. She was placed on a strict diet of healthy food and with spring water and herbal tea as her only drinks. Then she had her tonsils and 2 front teeth removed, as Issels believed they helped spread infection. However, she was moved to an intensive care unit at the clinic on December the 11th. On the following day, she underwent an operation to drain water from her abdomen. Eventually, she had to be transferred to Munich University Clinic on December the 21st, 1970, with suspected peritonitis. She was cleared from that disease, in other words, diagnosed as not having it, but still needed to undergo an operation to remove a stomach blockage, which was done on December the 23rd. However, on December the 24th, she lapsed into a coma and died still unconscious on December the 26th. She was cremated at Putney Vale Crematorium on January the 1st, 1971. Her fiancé David Emery published a biography of her entitled simply Lillian in 1971. A memorial service had been held for her at St. Paul's Cathedral in London on January the 21st, 1971. In Munich, the city where, if she had been alive and healthy and in top shape, she might well have won a women's 800 meter final, although that would have required her to set a new world record, I think, or at least close to it, There she is commemorated with an avenue bearing her name that leads to the Munich Olympic Stadium. She was voted Sportswoman of the Year in 1968 by the Sports Journalists Association. At the 1969 European Athletics Championships, she was named the best woman athlete in the Games. She was awarded a most excellent Order of the British Empire badge in the New Year's Honours list in 1970. She was voted Sportswoman of the Year for 1970 by readers of the Daily Express newspaper. The Lillian Board Trophy, a memorial trophy provided by Irene Board, her sister, and by Dame Maria Hartmann, chairwoman of the Women's Commission of the International Amateur Athletics Federation and of the Women's Amateur Athletics Association, following Board's death, is awarded each year for outstanding fundraising for cancer.